Hello, fourth grade mathematicians. We'll get started today on this lesson 20 problem set. And once again, we are just building on with fractions, building on with adding fractions, and closer and closer. Each day we are getting to just doing this by knowing the standard algorithm method. But before that, we are going to continue on using tape diagrams to add these fractions together. Okay, so let's get started. Our first set of problems asks us to use a tape diagram to represent each addend, so each of these fractions, and then decompose one of the tape diagrams to make like units, so to make equal, to make equivalent units. So let's go ahead and try B together. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw two tape diagrams to represent these two fractions. So I'm going to represent 1/4 and I'm going to represent 1/12. Make sure your tape diagrams, like always, are the exact same size. Okay, so let's think. How many pieces will I need for my 1/4? 4 pieces, because my denominator is 4. And then how many pieces do I need for my 1/12? Well, 12 pieces, because my denominator is 1/12. So I'm going to go ahead and cut up this tape diagram into 12 equal pieces. Okay? And you might ask really quickly, why am I even doing this tape diagram? Like, what's the point? Can I just add 1/4 plus 1/12? Well, no, you can't, right? Because we already are pretty good at that. We need equal denominators in order to add, in order to subtract. And because our denominators are not equal, we cannot add. We need to find like denominators. Okay, let's get to it again. How many should be shaded for 1/4? Well, just 1, because my numerator is 1. How many should be shaded in 1/12? Well, just 1, right? Because my numerator is also 1. And we can already see that these fractions, these tape diagrams, are not 100% equal, because we have a piece divided up into 12 pieces, and we have a tape diagram divided up into 4 pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my bigger unit, my bigger denominator, which is 12, and I am going to make 12 also the amount of pieces for my 4. And how would I do that? So I need to get these 4 pieces to equal 12 pieces. Well, all I need to do is add 2 more lines so I can divide each piece into 3 more equal pieces. Okay? That's all I need to do. And an easy trick for this is we could take our larger denominator and divide it by our smaller denominator, which is 3. And this 3 tells us that there needs to be 3 equal pieces in each of my original pieces. Okay, so use those division skills that we're pretty good at to figure out how many pieces need to go in each original piece. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add, because I'm going to have like denominators now. So I have 1, 2, 3 twelfths are now shaded in for 1/4. I know that 1/4 is equivalent, or is the same thing as 3 twelfths. And then my 1/12 stays the same. So I'm going to have 3 twelfths plus 1/12. And I know that 3 plus 1 is 4. And my denominator stays the same. So my answer is 4 twelfths. Okay? I want you guys to try C, D, E, and F on your own right now. Just since they already did one partially, I'm just going to talk through it right now. So they did essentially what we did. They first drew 2 equal tape diagrams. The first tape diagram only had 4 pieces because the denominator was 4. And the second tape diagram had 8 pieces because the denominator was 8. So 1/8. And then they went ahead and said, okay, we do not have equal denominators, so we cannot add just yet. So they thought, how can I get my first tape diagram to have 8 pieces instead of 4. And they did that by dividing. 8 divided by 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So they then knew that each original piece needed to be divided up into 2 pieces. And they did that so that each, instead of 4 pieces, we have 8 pieces. Okay? And then same trick, 1/4 is equivalent to 2/8. So 2/8 plus 1/8 is equal to 3/8. Okay, so go ahead, try C, D, E, and F on your own. Let's walk through number 2 together. 2 is to estimate to determine if the sum, so we're estimating, we're guessing again, to determine if the sum is between 0 and 1 or 1 and 2. Draw a number line to model the addition, then write a complete number sentence. Okay, let's get after it. I'm going to showcase to you by doing B. So I'm going to draw a number line. I always start off with 0. And then I'm going to go until 2. And what's it between 0 and 2? 1. And I'm going until 2 because I'm just making it easier on myself, because I know that some of my numbers, some of my fractions might be closer to 2 than they are to 0 than they are to 1. Okay? And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my 1/2, and I'm going to put this 1/2 on the number line. Well, that's easy, right? We already know how to do that, because we know that 0 over 2 is the same thing as 0. And if we add 1, that would be 1 over 2, and then 1 is the same thing as 2 over 2. Okay? But then this 4/10 gets a little bit more tricky, right? This 4/10 gets a little bit more tricky. So instead of having 2 lines, or 2 equal parts, I should say, between 0 and 1 and 1 and 2, we need to have 10 equal parts between 0 and 1 and 1 and 2. And how am I going to do that? Well, we could do that trick. We could do 10 divided by 2. We know that 10 divided by 2 is 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 5 equal pieces between each strip. Okay? I add 5 equal pieces to each strip. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. There we go. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have, starting at 0, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? So that could also equal 10 over 10. And I'm going to do the same thing between 1 and 2. I'm going to add, I know that I need to have 5 equal pieces between each 1/2 mark. Okay? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, I added 1 extra 1. And then I'm going to have, there we go, 3, okay. And we need to determine how do I solve this? How do I add this? So we know I start off with 1/2, which is right here. And now it's pretty easy, because I just need to add 4/10 to 1/2. So I start off with 1/2. And since I already converted this into a denominator of 10, I just need to count. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I know that 1/2 plus 4/10 is going to be right over here, which would be 9/10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The answer would be 9/10. And we know that 9/10 is less than 1. So that means my sum would fall somewhere in between 0 and 1. So we have 1/2 plus 4/10 is equal to 9/10. We can also rewrite our 1/2 so it's just easier to see, easier to understand that 1/2 is also equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/10. So we know that 1/2 is also equal to 5/10 plus 4/10. And we know that that would equal 9/10. Okay. So let's go ahead. You guys can try C on your own and E and F on your own. And then we're going to try D together. Okay, we'll try D together. And you will also try 3 on your own. I know it says to do this without drawing a model, but as for right now, you can ignore that and continue drawing a tape diagram or number line model because it's just super helpful to us right now. So let's try D. I'm going to start off by drawing a number line between 0 and 2. So I have 0, 1, 2. I'm going to take my smaller denominator first. So always take your smaller denominator first to find the original, or put it down first, so it just makes it easier for you as you go. So what I'm going to do, so 0 over 3, we know that 1 over 3, 2 over 3, 1 is the same thing as 3 over 3. Then I have 4 over 3 and 5 over 3. And then we know that 6 over 3, or 6 divided by 3, is the same thing as 2. Okay? But then I have this 3 6s to deal with. So I need to turn, instead of going to thirds, I need to go to 6s. And how will I do that? Well, let's just divide to be sure. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So that just means in between each slash, I need to have 2 equal pieces. So remember, this does not mean draw 2 slashes. This means that you need to have 2 equal pieces. Okay? So instead of 0 over 3, I could have 0 over 6, and then 1 over 6, 2 over 6, 3 over 6, 4 over 6, 5 over 6, and then 6 over 6, which we already know is equal to 1. And then 7 over 6, 8 over 6, 9 over 6. You guys got it, okay? So we're going to start here. We're going to start with this 2/3. And we know that this 2/3 is the same thing as 4 over 6. Okay? And we need to count 3 more times in order to find our answer. 1, 2, 3. So we know that 2/3 plus 3 over 6, because I went 3 times, is equivalent to 7 over 6. So 2/3, which we know is equivalent to 4 over 6, plus 3 over 6 is equal to 7 over 6. And that is where I landed. So I know that this is pretty complicated stuff. This is pretty new stuff. This is a lot of thinking on your feet. But we can do this, and we'll have more practice tomorrow at it. So don't be discouraged if you don't get this right away, because we will have more practice. But great job, as always, for sticking to it, for trying your best.